Hey guys, and how's it going? We're going to continue on this ratty karmann Ghia that Jason and I dragged out of a barn a couple of weeks ago. First video was just kind of retrieving it. Second video was getting it running. We got it running. It sounded like a rattle trap. I'll show you that in a second. But engine's real noisy. I kind of want to do a little bit more investigation into it and see if possibly we could find out what the noise is. We'll probably start with draining the oil and see if we see metal sparkles in it and go from there. Without further ado, let's have it. We'll fill up the horn. But again, that just goes right into the float bowl. It should probably take about half the bottle, at least. We hooked up fuel to it, probably stay running. Like a regular tank. Too bad it knocks, huh? I have a car that can use this engine. I want to use the transmission too, but that's for another day. What are we doing? Need a start button. Hopefully it's not melting to the... laying on the exhaust to burn the wires. Alright, can we go? We'll start without us touching it. I gotta give a little bit of gas. Listen to it. Then it kind of goes away. Keep it idle more. I don't like that. We'll run it at the RPM where it's not as noisy. Nothing's leaking. What if that goes till it runs out? There's a car in there somewhere. Reminds me of Animal House when they cut the cake. That sounds awful. I'm not going to start it, but just by spinning it, you can hear the clank and the knock in it. And it seems like it's doing it twice a rotation. So I'm questioning it. I checked the distributor. I kind of put my finger on it. I could feel like tapping coming through the distributor. Whether that's just a point gap opening and closing on the cam, I'm not sure. Kind of feel it. Everything else seems all right. Part of me wants to suspect camshaft. Either the gear on the end of it possibly has gone loose. It's chipped a tooth, chipped two teeth. I don't know the answer to it. So let's get it up in the air. Let's get the drain pan. Get a drain pan, clean one underneath it. We'll pull the plug and we'll see if we get like little metal shiny bits in the oil, and that'll kind of dictate whether something is tore apart. If we don't see that much metal, then something is mechanically coming apart would be my guess. All right, get her up, get it out of there. I'm not gonna worry about dropping the screen right now. We'll just pull the center out. Just because I'm trying to control where the oil goes. And I got a clean pan down below us. feels like it's stripped out too. That should come out like butter once it's cracked loose. It's not. Hopefully those little blurbs are nothing but. Hard to say. Definitely looking a little on the metallic side. We'll let that run down and we'll pull that pan down, we'll take a peek, and we'll swirl a finger in it. We'll be able to see it. It'll stand right out if it is. Yeah. So if we stir that, if metal is in there, it'll kind of show up. It would leave like a trace. And I am not seeing much of anything. Kind of makes me lead to believe that something is just, it hasn't spun and burned out. It's just in a process of breaking, or it's broken and clacking. Again, still kind of like around that camshaft or lifters or something. Let's get the strainer out of it and see if we can look up there with a borescope and see if we can see anything. Unfortunately, the pickup tube's kind of in the way, but we'll see what we can do. One bolt left. The amount of crap that's in the strainer too gives you also a good indication of how it was maintained. They'll get a lot of sludge in them. They really don't have an oil filter. They have an oil screen. And it's right above here. Well, you can see any bits of metal in there. So there's something that ground up and fell apart. All the metal is right there. I'm going to leave that on there. Something was definitely coming apart. Not that I expected that noise to be something of our imagination. Let's see if we get some metal above the filter too. Yeah, I see a bunch of nuggets of something coming up. Yeah. Whatever all that metal is right there, that is not supposed to be like that. Okay. I'm gonna let that drip for a little bit so the camera doesn't get soaked. And there's a little bit of a gap in between. Like I said, we'll try shining a light up there, and then we'll look and we'll see what we have for getting the camera up in there. So when I ran my finger up in there, it's like all chunks of aluminum. This is just brake clean, carb cleaner. I took the oil strainer and kind of pushed it up a little bit out of our way. But the problem is, as soon as I go to put a camera in there, as soon as it touches oil, it kind of fouls the lens. So the fact that it's aluminum has me a little confused too. What I'm thinking is possibly one of the bosses for one of the lifters is tore apart, and the lifter is kind of floppy in the hole. Problem is the camshaft is right directly here, and we have the oil pickup is right there. I don't really have a problem with trying to bash it out of the way if we have to, but let's go get that little camera. We'll take a peek, see if we can see anything. Maybe we'll pop the distributor out and possibly get the drive gear out, which can look downward on the camshaft. They usually have a tendency to bind. They don't want to come out easy. Usually take the case apart and get them out, but we'll see. Possibly we can get it. Let's go get that camera and let this drip for a second. All right, let's back you up here. And let's see if I can plop this lens someplace where we can see. Oh, I face you downward. You don't need to look up there, right? A little bit of that right there. Bottom of the camshaft right there. That light helping or hurt? It's probably hurting you, huh? That's another lobe on the cam. I don't see anything. Problem is I'm trying to look for the boss of where they are, you know. That's just the top of the case. You guys can't see a thing, can you? Yeah. That is right there. That's a lobe on the cam. It looks a little funky. That's just oil hanging off of it. So whatever it is, I believe it's beating tearing the case up. Yeah, that lobe looks a little weird. Hold on a second, that one right there. That one. Looks kind of burned up in the center. See how it's not shiny in the middle? Where the other one was. Where? Let's see if I can get you on the other one. Original one. That's one of the, kind of questioning. It looks like just a little. The sheen on that isn't right. Yeah, that lobe is screwed on that cam right there. That one. It's all pitted and tore up. Oh, can you see it? That one right there. It does not look normal. Let's try. Let's go, and there's another one that does look normal. What is that right there that I'm looking at? That should be the lifter. That should be the base. That's the lifter right there. Yeah. Let's go see if we can go take the distributor drive out, possibly the fuel pump, and we'll take a peek in through those, see if we can see anything from up there. And while we're waiting, it's still kind of dripping a little bit. I want to probe around a little bit more, but it keeps getting the camera wet. Let's go pour this off and see if there's any metal bits in the bottom of this pan. Pan was clean when I put it away, so that's a chunk of metal. No. The biggest piece I found, I'll show you, sitting on the vise right now. Is that hunk right there. Top of it kind of looks like a gear. Yeah, it's all straight going across on it right there. So whether it's the cam gear or the crank gear I think is steel. The cam gear may be aluminum. I'm not sure of that. It kind of looks like a tooth, doesn't it? So the distributor has a hold down bracket, and then you could also, there's also a pinch bolt that kind of goes across it. You tighten and loosen to rotate it. A lot of times if you can get the bracket bolt out of it, it'll maintain its position because it's keyed down below. It's what's called an S wrench, and it comes in handy in cases like this. It's good for the carburetor. If you own an air-cooled Volkswagen, you definitely want one of these, and make sure it has a 13mm on it. Take that nut off of there. We should be able to wiggle that distributor up. Then there's a drive underneath it, and then that drive will run off the gear that we kind of suspect. Let's go and plug the lead off the coil. That's just a point signal going up. We should be able to get the whole unit out of there. There's the drive I'm talking about and the bracket. And then lower is a drive. I'm going to go put it in, before I take it apart, the drive, I'm going to put it in top dead center. And there's the marks right there. So that's top dead center, and I'm looking at where the groove is going across. There's like an offset to it. See down there? How it's like keyed. That's you can place that in a couple of different ways, and then it will throw your timing off. We're gonna try to work that out of there. So you get the spring out, and then the tricky part is trying to get that drive out of there. Generally, a lot of times you have to do it when the engine's apart because a burr happens up above. Let me go get some creative tooling, see if we can pick that out. Let's get that fuel line out of your way. You can see, it's going to take the metal barb with it. There it goes. I took the spring out of the center, and I have a bolt kind of threading down there. Hopefully I can like put sideways pressure on it. And the problem is, it's got when these come out, they twist. I think it did lift up though. I am going to work on that off camera. Need something a little larger than that. How's that one? Be nice if they put threads in there, you can lift it out, but there's not. Like I said, I'm going to keep working on that, see if I can get that lifted up out of there. So unfortunately, there's really not too many other ways we can get in. You take the, like I said, you can take the drive out for the fuel pump, and then there's like a neck that comes down there, and there's a lobe on the cam that runs the fuel pump. But generally, there's a piece of I'm just going to call it plastic underneath it, Bakelite, that usually breaks off. The bottom will stay in there, so even if you get the fuel pump, then the top off, there's a bottom section of Bakelite that stays there. Again, not allowing you to see the bottom. But I'm going to work on that. I'm going to go for the fuel pump also. Trying to get in between those two hoses. There we go. And let's just, I think we're still hooked up. Let's go bump it over. I want to feel the push rod. It feels pretty normal. Did it come out in one piece? That's the question. Now, see how it's broke off on the bottom? That's what I was talking about. It's real common. A lot of them do it. Essentially, you just put it all back together again with the broken pieces where it was. There we go. Take a peek in there. Yeah, we could see some. Let me get you in. Here's that binding I was talking about. Get it? I can lift up on the gear so far, and then there's a shoulder that kind of builds up on it. Kind of sounds like the noise, doesn't it? Be nice if we take that drive out and we find that gears all just beats the shit on the part that comes out, but it's getting a little. I'm going to try sorry, yeah, plenty of oil on it. That's not the issue. I wonder if we could take like a brake hone and clean it up with a brake hone. Well, I wasn't able to get the drive out of there. I can still work at it a little bit more, but having the fuel pump out of the way, you kind of see what's going on. Hopefully I can get you in there with the light. Okay. So close I can. Another probe. Bend that a little. So, what I'm touching right now, that's the crank gear. And if you see right there, I'm going to back the light off a little so it shows a little bit better. You see that little brass swirly gear right there? And then you see a bunch of shiny metal in front of it. Well, between that gear and that gear, this one's a distributor drive gear, one straight down. That is supposed to be over about a 1/4 inch more towards or lower on your screen, and it's not. There's supposed to be a brass spacer that is in between there. So what's happening is the distributor drive gear, that bottom of that gear, I don't know if we can see that. It's going to show. I don't know if you can get in there to show that part of it. It is not lined up. You figure it's going to be the center of that compared to almost the center of that gear. You can see how far off. You can see how far off that alignment of those two goes. Basically, it would still be almost the center of the fuel pump hole. Should be right about in the middle there. And you can see how far off it is. So what's happening is that drive gear is clanking going around. It probably, because it's over, it might even be chewing up the case, and that's what a bunch of that aluminum that was in the case came from. And you can actually even see a little bit of the brass gear is chewed up on the end. It's because it is kind of catching teeth, but it's off a little. I also wonder if, well, either they turned it to try to help it because the timing was out about 40 degrees, or I wonder if it spun the whole thing. Kind of doubt that. That seems a little odd to go do that, but I'm still kind of questioning it. I'm still trying to put the pieces together in a little bit of forensics. But I will show you on another engine that that gear and that gear have a space between them. You can even see the get you in there. If I bump it around, you can see where the key is sticking out, and that's not normal either. That's how much it changed. So that gear, that brass bushing that was on there, again, it looks like a big bat washer about that thick, that spaced that off, probably broke and fell off, and my guess would be chewed up or gone or whatever, or the engine was taken apart and never put back in, and then finally that gear shifted over. Let's go look at another one. Here's another short block. You look down in there, you can see that there's that spacer between the two, and that is in a different spot than what the other one was. You can see that, and probably more than a 1/4 inch, probably say about 3/8. If I can dull that light out a little. Can I come this way? Should be able to see that. Right in the middle, you can see that spacer. Those two gears don't touch. Well, they touch in the other one. There's your problem. Again, what happened to it? Should be able to see the cam and crank gear through here. What happened to it? I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why it has taken a hike. But it's definitely not there. So there's our failure. Unfortunately, the only thing we can do to fix that, you'd have to totally tear that engine down and split it. I am not that hurry to do that. You know, you doing that, you might as well rebuild an engine. I got plenty of you know, cores and bodies and everything to kind of go work with to put a good used engine together without going through all that. At least we know why. We know why it was parked. I don't know why it happened, but we know why it was parked. Still want to get that drive out of there, so I'm going to try taking a brake hone, shove it down, and try to get rid of the glazing that's on top. They make a tool to get rid of it, to clamp onto it to pull it out. I don't have it. They make a, you could probably do like a tap. You could thread it and tap it a little bit too. What was I grabbing that with before? I may try doing that. It's kind of like a mushroom on the other end of it, and that's what's hitting on the removal. Well, you gotta be careful when you take that out too. I'm not worried about it too much on this engine. There's a couple of shims that are underneath it. It comes up and the shims want to go slide off. Generally, you have it on an engine stand. You rotate it so that that angle is straight up and down. You won't lose them, and then you put it back together. You put a little bit of grease on, you center them, and you drop the gear back down. A lot of guys do it when they're putting the engine cases together too, but yeah. We're not doing that. Actually, what I think I'm hitting is that bottom part of the, where is it? The base that did not come off on the fuel pump. The other part of the nylon, I guess you can call it. I'm going to try getting a bolt run into there, see if we can pull out or just hammer out what's left of those pieces and get that gear out. I'm just curious. I just want to see like why it failed and what happened. Oh, here it is over here. So yeah. So there's more to the body of this that comes down further, and I think the gear that's trying to come out is bumping into it. I got to tap with a long handle on it. Let's see. Be a little too long. So you can thread that down and get a bite on the plastic. I have a feeling it's probably just going to shatter inside there. Again, it's not metal. It's just, I'm going to call it Bakelite. Make sure it's not spinning. We'll run that till we get a good amount of thread on it. Then you got to figure out a way to pry up on it. I have a slide hammer with vice grips on it, but I don't think get it. The problem with you doing this too, though, is the pressure you put in it expands on the wall, so it actually even gets tighter to try to draw out. You can always put a bolt in also. But let's go see if it can work with the tap. Anyway, we gotta try to figure out, hook up something to that to get some leverage on. How about 2 pair of vice grips? You can get under a pry bar and see if it pulls straight up on it. You hit it, you just rip right out. Ha! Victory! All right, see if the drive will come out now. Yeah, let's try this one. Of course, it's up further than it was. Okay. Much further. Wonder if you can even help it working through the hole, get underneath and pull up on it. Well, the pry bar and vice grips worked for that part. See if we can do it here too. No, I say. I wonder if the end of it's all mauled up too. You know, where it was missing on the gear. I wonder if the gear is kind of splayed from the damage on not allowing it to come up. So unfortunately, it's next to impossible to see. I was peeking down inside there. I don't know if we're gonna get there. And there is the broken piece, sitting right there. Right, the top of it is shiny. I'm gonna back out, there you go. So it is at like, probably at 5:30, 6 o'clock. You can see the tip of it pointing right upward. That's where the ring broke off and fell to the side and has no longer maintained that gap. Well, there it is. And again, there's still no real way out of trying to fix that, but we can definitely see what caused it and what failed, and definitely nobody misplaced it. It just kind of broke off and fell over there. I doubt I can kind of grab that with some little tiny pliers. Now I know how a surgeon feels. I don't know if it's magnetic. I would think it would be. Let's try getting it with a magnet. If you move it around, I think what it's done though, it's turned itself in a way that has wedged itself. You figure it's got to be less than 180, right? Because it had to fall off. We're going to go for tapping the drive too. It's just slipping on me, so I'm trying to get it to start. Got something on it. Let's go again, get some vice grips underneath it. A little pry bar. Got to remember, it's got to be able to twist to come out. I think we're already off the gear though. That's only to get it to come off the gear. Let me help it. I want to pull out dry, right? Gonna rip out, yeah. Determination, my middle name. I will not give up. I will get it. And this is where persistence comes in handy. Haven't pulled it out yet. The washers are probably gonna drop. Let's go see how beat up this is. Definitely got a bunch of brass on it. Let's go peek in the hole. So there should be the washers floating down in there, way down in the bottom. Hopefully I can get them. They use their right end with a magnet. You don't want them to drop into the case, but they're going to be fairly close to the, what was that game when you were kids? Operation? Let's get, it could be 2 or 3. And much of that crap is in there, but I think what that is from running the tap, some of that brown on the edges. It's a joke there. That's it, it's got them. So now you can see how far off that gear is from where it's supposed to be. That should be centered. The gear is supposed to be centered over the drive, and so what it's doing, I think the knock was each clip of the edge running into the other gear. That's a guess. It also could be that gear is hitting something. I'm trying to look at the cam gear down below it. That's the lower gear. Upper one's the crank, that one. And down below you can see the cam gear. Can I leave that? Let's go put the little light in there. See if we can bump it over. Let me get some of that crap out of the way. By the way, easy out is what did it. Had to go grind a little bit off of it to make it the right length. And I was able to tap that in there and twist counterclockwise. And it kept pressure on it. Allow that to get out. Alright. And the other thing too is, what it could also be, is that piece of metal is clanking when it's going around. Let's see where the bump switch is. Let's go make sure it'll let me kind of look in there. Now it's further in. I wonder if the other piece is running into something. It'd be nice if these had a regular oil pan on them, huh? I'm going to work a little bit at trying to fish that 1/2 out that's sitting over there. Problem is, it's like a letter C. I think it kind of went around and turned sideways, so it's kind of wedged like that. To try to get it to undo that and come out of the path it came in might be next to impossible. I'm going to go pick at it a little bit. I was able to get it to the top. That's it right there. But trying to snake it out of the hole, it looks like it is in full length, that it's all uncurled. Now we're going in maybe one more time. And I washed the gear off. You can be able to see. And at that angle, if you see the top of the gear, all the teeth are gone. What is also missing, there's an oil slinger that's on the front of the metal, front of the engine, or towards the pulley side. That is missing also. So that was also right here. It's like a big washer, a coned washer, and it slings oil away. There's no seal, there's no real seal on this side of it. And it's kind of, there's a vein on the inside that pushes it away, but also at the same time when it's running, it's just kind of an oil slinger. Anyway, you could see how much of that gear is gone. I believe the oil slinger kind of worked its way around and got chewed up in the gears. Hence what we saw, those little bit of teeth that were sitting inside the strainer. So definitely had some kind of catastrophic. I'm trying to get that piece out. Now it's sitting over here. I think it's full length, but it's uncurled. So I'm trying to work the thing out, and it's just not going to happen. Just for show and tell purposes. But there's what the failure was. What, again, it's pretty trashed on the bottom. The cam gear is gone, so the cam shaft is probably going to be gone. You would change that as a whole unit. This engine is really not, you could rebuild it, depending on how much end plate is in it. But again, I got the cores to go put stuff. I'm glad it has all the accessories that are decent on, all the tins and the sheet metal. Will go on another one of the blocks that are upstairs, plus the cylinder heads, and that thing can be used over. But as far as trying to save this and whatever hamburger I did on the inside, I doubt very much I'm ever going to pull this engine and tear it and split the case to go see. Although I'm curious, I'm just not that curious. I'd rather spend the time putting another engine together instead of this trashed one. Yeah, you can see the bit of it hanging down right there, right now. Okay, I can get on it with a claw or a set of forceps. I can grab it and kind of move it around and tweak it around, but I just can't get it up out of the hole. So I had the great idea of whacking it with a screwdriver, trying to straighten it out. And there it is. And I've managed to make it a complete circle. All over again. It's kind of like back to its original shape almost. So I am not going to be able to get that out of there. You can see almost the whole thing right there. That's the whole ring, but it's about a 2-inch diameter, trying to come out a 1-inch hole, and it's just not going to happen. And I actually think that's the least of his problem, because now I've finally been able to move it. Can you see the gear? Hold on. Come through this hole, light it up. Get rid of this one. Alright. Can you see? Watch that gear in the bottom. The cam gear has ripped away and is busted free from the cam, or the end of the cam is broken right off, which is kind of like one of the first things I think I said on it. I don't know if we could poke at it with a little screwdriver to get it to wiggle around, but that gear is not supposed to flop around. That's how much play is in that cam. That cam has about 20 degrees of movement before the cam gear. That's how much that cam gear is moving before it's even moving the cam. The cam's not doing anything. That's how much slop is in there. I'm amazed that engine ran at all. So my guess is the oil slinger failed first. Kind of went around, took out the spacer. The brass gear moved over up at the distributor. I have never seen anything like that before on a VW, so that is a first. Hey guys, I'm sorry I didn't have a sign-off clip for the end of it, but I was able to bring up a picture on a video, try to explain a little bit better what was happening. So this is what is driving the distributor. This is that spacer that popped out, and this is the crankshaft drive gear bearing the rest of the crankshaft going through. So this is what popped out. This gear ran up against this gear, so these two were touching each other, not being in alignment. And this actually has a split in it. There's where the key is, there's a gap. It's not showing it on here, but this is not a solid ring that goes all the way around, so that's why it was able to eject itself out of there. You can see he's putting the bearing on right now, and then there's a slinger that stays right here. So why that came apart, I'm not sure. I'll show you a quick picture of the camshaft just so you understand the other part of it. And there's the end of the camshaft. The cam is facing straight back behind it, and here's the gear that is quite mauled. I believe the gear is flopping around, or the camshaft itself is broke in about an inch, and you can see the 3 rivets that are holding it in place. So either those rivets have kind of broken away, or the camshaft is broke off altogether and it's flopping. I actually think the camshaft is broken. Had I thought about it a little bit more, we probably could have taken the oil pump. This is the drive. The center of this right here is the drive for the oil pump. We could have taken the oil pump off the front of the engine and looked in that way, but I've moved the car out of the shop. It's not in there. It smells like raccoon crap, and I don't want to bring it back in there to deal with it. And that's what a whole camshaft looks like, just so you know. There's the gear on the bottom. This one has 4 rivets. He's comparing different ones. There's the oil pump right there that we could have taken off on the front, but you can see the lobes that we were looking at earlier from up through the oil sump, and we're looking at the condition of those lobes and kind of questioning what they were in. So just to kind of put a better perspective on what's going on. I wish I did a little bit better job of filming that part of it. Again, probably pulling the oil pump off of it, but that's what I got. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a little bit of fun. I did look back in the footage when we first looked at the car and saw that the distributor was already spun 40 degrees out, so it wasn't like the engine was stuck. I did damage by freeing it up and turning it. I looked in the very beginning, like I said, the distributor was turned way out, so it had already happened. The damage had already happened before we even touched the car. And here's when we first opened the engine lid up in the barn, when we were looking at it, you can see that the distributor is facing way out of its normal position. Generally that
would be facing almost straight at us as the normal position. So whatever had happened, it had already happened to it when it was parked. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with me and having a little bit of fun and just trying to, figure out what happened to the engine. I've never seen that before, and I'm still kind of a little curious. Maybe someday, if I pull that engine when I'm scrapping that car, we'll split the case and take a little bit better look inside. But at least we have an idea where the noise is coming from. That camshaft is either broke right in half, or the gears, the pins have sheared off the gear. One way or another, she's dead. Alright guys, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you. Bye.
For my guys that followed the last one, I got outbid, but I ended up buying the 58 under one condition. I get that car free thrown in.
Let's go see. How long were they here?
I don't even know. I mean, this.
Well, how long was yours? Do you know? Was the inspection sticker?
87. 87. The bus was 80s as well, so.
Somebody walking upstairs.
But yeah, it's all yours.
Oh. Holy.
I didn't see that. Maybe we should start from the other side.
Look, I can see you in the ground. That's a good sign.
Don't fall through.
That was probably my knee popping. Check out the glasses.
Oh wow.
Spectacles.
Hey, it's a good color. Convertible.
It is convertible. The rockers are not see-through. They're blowing out, but they're not.
Yeah, probably all Mondo because the trim's missing.
Was that always an orange car?
I don't know. I think so.
It has.
All orange underneath, right? Your side.
Oof. Holy. You know the insulation they found in the bus? I found where it came from.
Oh, the seat, yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't even look in here, honestly. I really didn't. I was just so excited to get my 58 out of here. Got snow tires.
What is New England?
I love it when you find them with snow tires. Look at those. Those are meaty.
I don't think they're going to take air, though.
Well, let me get out of your way. You can enjoy your new convertible.
It was once a good-looking car. Shall I?
This needs. Alright, I didn't even look in this thing.
Oh my.
40,000.
Oh, look at the floor on the other side.
Oh.
Well, I can see why you.
You asked me about the interior. He's like, how are the seats in it? There you go. I don't know. I didn't look.
What is that? Is that like what's left of a snake or?
Biblical cord, maybe. What is that? Wow. How are the seats? There's this guy's car. Look at they even ate his face.
That's the hood ornament.
That's it.
What did they say? Had raccoons or something in here? What was the family?
Yeah, possums, raccoons. I don't even know. Wow. Well, sorry about the interior. Let's take a look at the engine. I was told there was an engine in it.
Is it locked?
Oh, and you got more nesting up here. Hey, it still has the deck lid's actually not terrible.
The car was yellow.
No, that's orange.
Yeah, it's yellow here.
Yeah. Maybe it's the wrong deck lid. School bus yellow. What's it got for a case? H. All right, so it's not the.
Might be.
H. No. H5. That's a 1600 single.
It's a single port. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What is this? That's a good engine though. That's the.
And there's that. She's locked up.
Check the dipstick. Let me check the dipstick.
Go for it.
Hey, we got oil. It's black and over full, but at least it's got oil in it.
She's a peach.
You've resurrected
Yes,
worse.
yes.
It's got the oil bath and everything on there. Yeah, this would have a 72. Should have a dual port in there, I think.
Is that what year it is?
I don't know these new cars.
Yeah,
I think it's a 72.
the nose, the whole nose is bent down.
We'll just leave that closed.
Yeah, it took a hit in the front, and the front of the car is tweaked in the downward position.
How's the interior, he asked me. How are the seats? Hey, you got a body tag.
Is that on the ground?
No, it's in there. It's covered. Oh, I didn't see the nose. Did not see the nose.
Well,
Here you go. What's this? 91?
yeah.
What state is that, though?
No, is that a 9 or a 91?
91, yeah. Is that?
State
Oh,
police.
Maine. That's Maine.
Well, that explains the rest. Well, guys, we are going to go and try to get my trailer down here
What's
and
this
wheel our
wheat?
way around.
What's this wheat stuff?
Well, somebody's got to guide me.
All right. Hey, you got the rear glass. Just look at us go.
I don't know why upstairs decides to be creaking as we're walking around.
Yeah, it's just that ladder, I guess.
Place is haunted. It's pissed off that we're taking. It's a back window. Some bus bay window doors. Hoods. Might be some rollers in there that we could put on it.
I think they're 5 lug.
Are they all 5?
Yeah, I think so.